Hi guys, and for those who are here for the first time, I usually show what I'm going to talk about, not hiding. Then you can go back. It's been around 2 years, so there's a lot of material covered, and you can use it as a reference. You can search where did we talk about, let's say, small LLMs, and we're going to talk about small LLMs again. Let's see. Did we talk about small LLMs before? No, because maybe I didn't spell it right. No, I don't know why, but we are going to talk about them now. And I don't know why we didn't find that. Tiny. Here it is tiny. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is again theory and practice. And that is because when I see something, I follow the advice of Jeff Dean, who is the chief brain of Google, and they like to tell different jokes. If you never heard jokes about Jeff Dean, then I think one of them is he is the guy who traveled to infinity twice. And other such things, you can simply find jokes about Jeff Dean. But in my case, he mentioned that you see new software that is interesting, and he means more like writing software. Well, you go ahead, download and try it. And that's what I'm doing. Everything here is I tried it, and I usually put it on a open Git. Okay, so that's what it is. What we will talk about latest news. Tiny LLM is just the start of that news. Then we will talk about uh, a new theme, prompt engineering for images. And then I will show you the beginning of Google course, Google Vertex. I am a little bit short on time in the sense that I'm coming to when I'm going to teach it. But I regard this going to teach it mostly as a push for me to learn. So I'm teaching it on Monday. I should be working more, but I'll show you what I already have. And the purpose of my showing that to you is so that you can also learn something interesting out of that. All right, great. So with that, let's look at the latest Andrew Ng letter. I think that's here. And we'll start. Now, Andrew, his goal is to teach. My goal is more to learn. Of course, there's no comparison. He is a bright star, and I'm just reading his newsletter. But what he talks about first is the fact that there is a promising pattern. He's trying to be a trendsetter, and the promising pattern is saving money on using small LLMs, and all of that is the world has to accept it. If they haven't, that's not worth it. He explains how his idea could work. But then was something that I would have missed otherwise. Okay. Every week he publishes a new course. And if not for you, this little PS in his letter, I would miss it. And that's prompt engineering for vision models. Now, I waited for that so much, and I will tell you why it's that important because I'm not an artist, so I'm totally at a loss of how to talk to ChatGPT about paintings. And meanwhile, I'll tell you the story of why it is interesting, important, and profitable. Okay, that's what we will be talking about. And the small idea is coming from Apple. And I mentioned that we have talked about this. Apple wants to put AI on the chip. And that's why small is very important. So the previous paper that they published, that was talking about uh, how you can make it very smart. They talk about the architecture that will make a very small, concise model. Of course, you can store floating points in one byte. That is just the beginning. But then they talked about how you can architect it so only specific parts of the model are working. Now this is a new one, and I have put it right here on the desktop, okay? And it's the OpenELM paper. So that's what Apple published, and they published it just in April 22nd. That's why it's very new. And they explain how their small model outperforms other models and how the very smart architecture allows them to run actually on the phone. But I believe there is no such phone as yet. All your interaction with ChatGPT and other models is going through the internet and therefore limited by speed, and not only of internet, but also of the model itself. Where they wanted to be is on the phone. One interesting thing is that they published it on a Hugging Face. So what we can do is just copy that. I think with PDF I have to be a bit more careful, but we should be able to see the Apple model running on a very small device right here. And it says an efficient model for family, actually a family of models. And you should be able to try it. That's how Hugging Face is constructed. So let's say you select a specific model and you should be able to talk to it right away. I don't see that, but in any case, that is really interesting to the people who are more or less in the business of building very small models for specific purposes. But what piqued my attention specifically was this. Okay, for that, let me go show you what the course is about. I also made it, so let's open that. But before we start, I will reshare so that you can also hear. Okay, but what I wanted to show is two things. First of all, we will look at this. We'll see what it does, what are the major things that they do. The Comet is the company that supports it. But I also wanted to show you that I started the work of copying and pasting and bringing it to my environment. Right here, that's this link. So if you go there, you will see Open Labs, OpenAI Labs, that it all started from OpenAI Labs. But then I kept collecting additional courses, and they form the basis of what people should know if they want to do anything in this area. That's all in this repository. You get that link, right? And that is also found right here. So let's go back. We're talking about advances in AI webinar, and that's the link to that. That's how you get in touch with me. That is the webinar folder. Whatever we talk about, different documents, that is all found in this folder. This is the learning path. Very often people ask, I'm a newcomer, I want to learn something. This is the learning path that I offer you guys to do. Now let me check if any other person came. I will make sure that they can all talk. Yes. So I'm allowing everybody who is here to talk, and I'm encouraging this freestyle. Okay, here you all are. Now you can talk, ask, and object anytime. So that is the learning path. Let me open that. The learning path for anybody who wants to learn AI. And as you can see, AI is simple. It's simple. Go talk about ChatGPT. But the minute you become a little bit more serious, it's like, yes, that is magic. And that magic uses alphabet. But then you want to write books, and that's beyond magic. So that's what those courses are all about. So I immediately put the new course, Prompt Engineering for Vision Models, coming from the Comet. It's a company. Let's open that. It's really called Comet.com. They got a nice name, and so on. So I'm not going there. I'm just mentioning that it is a company. And that's Andrew's style. He asks other people to use his platform and promotes them. So that's all the links that you need, but I have also put them here. That's what we're talking about. So we talked a little bit about these news, and then I wanted to show you the start of the course, what they will be talking about. Then discuss exactly what they meant when they said it. So let's go back. Here you are. All that is free. I couldn't find a paid course, even if you wanted to. It will be very hard. So what I have to do is stop sharing, then share again. Share again, but this time when I share, I will share with the sound so that you also get the sound. Okay, so well, let us start. Let's introduce the major character.
Welcome to Prompt Engineering for Vision Models, built in partnership with Comet and taught by Abby Morgan, Jacques Verret, and Caleb Kaiser. Prompting applies not just to text, but also to vision, including some image segmentation, object detection, and image generation models. Depending on the vision model, the prompts may be text, but could also be pixel coordinates or bounding boxes or segmentation masks. In this course, you prompt Meta's Segment Anything model, or SAM, to identify the outline of an object by giving it some coordinates or points, or bounding boxes to help it identify the object. For example, maybe a t-shirt the dog was wearing. You also apply negative prompts to tell the model which regions to exclude when identifying an object. Using a combination of positive and negative prompts helps you to isolate the region or object that you are interested in, such as maybe a specific pattern on a t-shirt that the dog is wearing. But prompting SAM is just one example. You learn about many other tools as well as best practices for prompting, both to analyze, that is to understand images, as well as to generate or to otherwise manipulate or change images. I'm delighted to introduce our instructors for this course.
Okay, wasn't there. Great guys. But first, I'll tell you why I was green with envy about that special art of talking to ChatGPT about pictures. Now I'm closing those that we don't quite need. That's because there was a story about AI creating wonderful pictures. The story is connected to the Russian writer, and I will mention his name, and you can find it, but I will not give you the links to the art, because that's one of the most interesting Russian writers of today, and whoever is interested in, he doesn't live in Russia. He is safely outside, because what's going on in Russia is, you can discuss it, but that's not an
Salam Allah.
interesting part. Hello?
Salam, salam.
Yes, salam, salam. So the Russian writer,
Oh,
the name is Sorokin here.
Baka Harai.
Now I will
Maharnya Zarmish?
have to ask who is that
Baka,
talking,
okay.
right? And make him mute.
Maharnya that perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, I think I succeeded in that. Very good. And I'll show just one picture, but the story was that he wrote a book. In this book, he has the most fantastic story. And in short, the story is how they create uh, pieces of meat who become writers, and then he parodies those writers. His art destroys a lot of preconceived notions. And now I can show at least one picture and talk about this picture. There you are. Well, other pictures I didn't show because other pictures are even more disturbing and the usual style of the newspapers today. By the way, these are well-known Russian writers, but the parody image of them with the idea that they grow pieces of meat, and they, I think, take them out of those writers and make them write stories. So crazy, disturbing stuff. But how that was created was ChatGPT, and was AI, well, the relative of ChatGPT, and AI created art. And then the writer Sorokin said that, and by the way, there are these images. The engineer who worked on them, a very talented and knowledgeable engineer, he said, why don't you mention me? That is something great that I did. And I think Nina Sorokin, no, the art show guy, realized that that is something very valuable. You don't just say, ChatGPT creates something awesome. And they argued about the importance of prompt engineering for images. And that is where I was green with them, because I couldn't figure out how to start even talking. And there you are. That's the whole course here. The whole course on how to start talking, how you tell it nice things about which images to generate. And then it turns out that they talked about even more. Andrew Ain mentioned that they talk about how do you segment, how do you tell it, how to make it very easy. Segment, include that part, exclude that part, and then in the end, amazing art comes out. That's why this is interesting, and that's all I was going to tell you about this right now. And the next subject I wanted to show you the Vertex. So Vertex is Google way of calling AI. They keep rebranding nonstop. If you want to do AI on Google, that's now called Vertex. So I'm surprised at the name, but Vertex, I looked it up. It has something to do with graphs. And therefore, I created the outline and started filling it out. And that's how today you write courses. Today, you don't write everything from scratch. You use existing materials. And you're essentially, when you're doing this training, you're a babysitter. You're giving people the material to labs. You're telling them what to do. You explain, but it's mostly that you see that they're in class and don't run away. That is life today. Of course, I have to do much better job, but here is this class that I'm preparing. For that, I need to simply go to the class. And that, unfortunately, is not quite open. Here I have the plan, class plan. And these are the subjects that we're going to cover. We'll talk about how do you set up the environment and mostly what this Vertex AI is. And I found that is very interesting what that includes because it's repackaging the old stuff. You had a way to do linear regression. And if you know what linear regression is, you can do this. You can, in the chat, you can do +1 to tell me that, you know, you can do something like that, right? That means, yes, you heard about linear regression. And then you want other things, so that's all going in machine learning, and then appear AI generated models, and they talk. So let's look at what Google did. They created a studio where you are able to do all of these things. Now, unfortunately for Google, ChatGPT takes all the limelight. All right, with that preface, okay, so Ben Sharma knows about linear regression, and therefore it will be very clear to you and everybody else. You build your models, mathematical models to model your data, and that's the start. And then after a while, ChatGPT builds it for you. And today, you very seldom build your own models. With that, we open this and look at this.
Hi, I'm Priyanka Vargadia, and this is AI Simplified, where we will take the journey from datasets all the way to deployed machine learning models. No matter which service you offer today, it is crucial to use the data you have to make predictions so you can improve your apps and the user experience. But most teams have varying levels of machine learning expertise, ranging from novice all the way to experts. To accelerate AI innovation, you need a platform that can help you build expertise for those novice users and provide a seamless and flexible environment for those experts. This is where Vertex AI comes in. It provides tools for every step of the machine learning workflow across different model types for varying levels of machine learning expertise. Before we take a look at Vertex AI, though, let's understand the typical machine learning workflow. After defining your prediction task, the first thing you do is ingest the data, analyze it, and then transform it. Then you create and train the model. Evaluate that model for efficiency and optimization, and then deploy it to make predictions. Now, with Vertex AI, you get a simplified machine learning workflow in one central place. Ingestion, analysis, and transforming is really all about data preparation, and you do that using managed datasets within Vertex AI. You have tools to create the dataset by importing your data using the console or just the API. You can also label and annotate the data right from within the console. For model training, you have two options: AutoML or custom. With varying machine learning expertise on the team, for some use cases, such as images or videos, text files, and tabular data, AutoML works great. With AutoML, you don't need to write any of the model code. Vertex AI will take care of finding the best model for that task. And for other use cases where you would like more control over your model's architecture, use custom models. Now, custom models are great for frameworks and architectures and code that you want to write yourself. So this works great for TensorFlow or PyTorch code. Once that model is trained, you have the ability to assess that model, optimize it, and even understand the signals behind your model's predictions. And you do that with explainable AI.
Okay, guys, so it seems like a robot got in, and maybe it's because I allowed everybody to talk. I tried to find that particular participant who was a robot, and I couldn't find him. So nice work. But right now, that taught me a lesson that for now, I'm not going to allow everybody to talk. All right, I apologize. I'm happy that you came back. And let's check if we can still be on chat, because that robot, he got on chat as well. So here's the chat. And on the chat, I will say that, guys, I apologize for the interruption and for the disturbance. Okay. And everybody can vote now. Okay. Yes, we are continuing, and I am not letting people talk for now. You will have to ask me about specific permission to talk. Or maybe for now, I will ask you to chat your question, and then maybe I will answer. Okay, and again, I apologize for what happened. Well, things happen. And let's analyze this robot. That was an interesting thing. So first of all, they took over the chat. Okay, and over the chat, they were just saying one thing, something like hello. But then they also turned the speaker up. That's a really good disturbance. And the purpose of it is just annoyance because I cannot imagine what else that could be. I tried to find that person who was a participant that was responsible, and somehow that was hidden. That was even more interesting. So again, thank you for coming back. I'm sharing the screen again. I am sharing again the link to what we were doing. It was right here. Uh, that's that's a good question. Who was it that did it? I saw the name Noel, but that Noel I thought was responsible for that, but he or she disappeared. So don't know. But it's a nice example because part of what we do is also discuss the hacking of AI, and that was a good hack for something, at least for something. Okay, so I give you the link. I'm going back to this here. Okay, and we discussed that Apple is coming with new very small LLMs, but they made a very smart trick on how make the LLMs work. That was one. The second one was prompt engineering for images. In the first place, how do you talk to, let's say, ChatGPT to create the images that you want? That's a great art. It's very hard. And I gave an example of how one engineer slash painter slash artist did it very successful with Sorokin with his stories. But then I wanted to show you the course that I'm going to teach, and if that interests you, you can keep asking questions. So the first thing is I was talking about the Vertex AI being a generic AI IDE. So you saw the things that they allow you to do. Just standard things, nothing special. Now, where is the ChatGPT and where is the generative AI? It's also included. The next thing I wanted to show is labs. Labs are mentioned here. And for going to a specific lab, I need to go back to the class plan right here and click on that link. So where I'm going into is called it used to be called Quick Labs. Now it's called cloudscaleboost.google. So that's the internal play and the corporate games. The original Labs was an outside company created by somebody. It was for Amazon and for Google, and Microsoft never took part in that. And it had, for one price of at this time it was $45. You could learn non-stop about Google and about Amazon. But then Google bought it and gradually pushed Amazon out. So right now it's called Cloud Skill Boost. So for my students, I usually buy a subscription and they get to do the labs. Then I choose which labs to do. And well, I'm telling you this because I'm revealing you the secret. You can do it all yourself. So what you do is, let's say it opened right there on the lab that I want to run. Okay, I'll keep that open, but I will also go back here and show you how it's constructed. That's the whole thing. Now, to show how it's constructed, we need to go back, let's say, oh no. And what you want to do is find the menu. That's what you want to do. Okay, let's go here. Okay, that's the menu. So here you can do explore. Right there, explore. And Explorer gives you the catalog of all the labs that Google has here. Yeah, I'm waiting for it to come up. It's very slow. Okay, click on paths. Paths combine all the labs into groups. For example, you want to learn about generated AI. That's a learning path composed of different labs. But what I really want is to explore all of the labs and to show you the whole thing and then look at one and show you how it works. Okay, so you get 1,048 different labs. You can look for, let's say, Vertex. And if you do, you get 71 results. So there is a quick start. And here I'm going to the link that I was already showing you. Quick start. So what you do is you say start the lab. Because you already have the subscription, every other lab is free. And you can learn non-stop. You can not pause that lab, but you can only continue learning. If you want to stop and restart, you simply end the lab. So all the results are not saved, but then you can continue again from the beginning. All right, so the way it works is you click here and you open incognito window. That's very important because you shouldn't be using your own Google account, but you should be using the lab account. So you open that and you go back to the lab setup and you ask for the username that they created as a student just for that lab, and you enter that name. Then you go for the password here. And after you enter that password, you are inside of the real Google Cloud. So you are learning in the real cloud in that environment that was created for you. So I agree to all that they will tell me. Just for you personally, it's your real environment. But be very careful in that environment because if you do something wrong, they will say, oh, he's hacking, and they will block your account. So provided that you do step by step what they tell you and not violate these rules, you now start the lab. The lab is right here. It's going to tell you about, and now we're back to the old world. BigQuery is a big database that allows you to do SQL queries. If you want to do machine learning, then it includes also a language for predictions, language for models. So it's part of BigQuery. So you see, if you're a big company and you're selling the existing things plus a little bit new things, you get a marketing problem. That's where it is. That's the marketing. But in the end, you go and you read this. I told you all of that. You just open a browser, you open it in a lab, in a incognito window, and everything should be right. I just did all of that. This was the step that needed to get in. Now that I'm in, I start with step 1. So I'm in, I'm ready to look at, well, Vertex AI, quick start. And the first thing that they do is drop to the level of shell. That makes most sense because if you are trying to figure out all of that here on the dashboard in the cloud, that's just too much, you see. There's a lot. Even though you are in Vertex here and they want you to start maybe Workbench, but that's hard to find. So instead, what they do is, let's say, go to the shell and do those commands, okay? Let's go to the shell and do those commands. And the first command is gcloud authorized list. So list your whatever it is, I think the projects. Yeah, let's do it. To go to the cloud shell, you just click on that. Every cloud has that kind of a thing. So I clicked on that shell and that shell appears here. I'm moving that invisible window out of the way. Okay, and continue. Okay, I got it. So it shows you a window. That window is into a virtual machine, a small Linux, and you can verify it to the LS, and you see the very first step. Now they gave me, now that is, I don't want that at all. Yeah, now I'm on the command line and I can click, but they didn't copy correctly. So let's do it again. Here you are. That's what we want to do. Copy it, right? Now, show me a list of, I authorize you, yes. A list of projects who I am on the cloud and I'm in the project. So somebody is paying for that. That's what I'm doing. After that, you do account and you do all of the services. So let's do that. Let's enable all those services, and then we will create a Vertex AI. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. That's not very interesting. I'm only showing you how easy it is to do it. Just follow the instructions in your account and everything will be fine. So let's do maybe just one step. Create a custom account, and then I'm looking to launch Vertex notebook. So let's come to this point. We just created everything. Now we have to do these steps. But since it is just copy and paste, I simply do these steps. And right now, I may not even understand what I'm doing. It's some setup, some project setup. So I'm just going the copy and paste and watching that I didn't do something wrong. If ever a problem comes up, that's because I miss a step. That could be the only problem. And here you are. I will say it's a little bit tedious, but it's educational, right? So here we are. And now we've come to the place where we wanted to be. We wanted to start the workbench. So let us start the workbench. We'll go into Vertex AI and the workbench. Now that is those three bars. You click on them and then you go into Vertex, and after that you do the workbench. And that's where we will see the familiar notebooks. But finding this workbench is not easy here. Okay, now that is more or less familiar. It talks about the notebooks. It needs to tell us where do we find our notebooks. So we look around, maybe we create a new one, maybe we looked at user managed notebooks. That is something that they should tell us right here. And they're saying create a new one. User managed notebooks and create a new one. Okay, you run the user managed notebooks. And then you create a new one here. And then you will come to the regular notebooks as you are usually seeing. And therefore, when you are done with that, you click, am I really done? Well, I'm clicking on that. I'm not really done. I don't expect that to work. And indeed, I think it didn't say that I'm done. Well, that means that I really need to do the work. And that's what I wanted to show. I just wanted to show you first the introduction. Here's a workbench. And in that workbench, you can do any of the AI-related tasks. Previously, it was called machine learning. Then you open the labs, and in the labs, you do predefined steps. Then comes real life, and when you're doing real life, that will become much more complex. So you'll go back to the lab and do it 2 or 3 times, and will feel comfortable. And then you will be able to come back to the course, which is found right here. Okay, so that is how you learn about any class. I'm going personally to teach this class on Monday. So I will lead the students. I will tell them, first of all, introduction. That's what you do. And secondly, the labs. That's what you do. And third, congratulations. Now, for you guys, since you cannot talk anymore because we were attacked by a robot, right? So I'm just checking, did anybody say anything here on chat? Okay, and I will ask you this. We have covered what we wanted to cover, and we talked about prompt engineering for images and learning about Google Cloud, which is called Vertex for AI. Now, any questions? And if you tell me, please enable the talk. Any questions? Right? Then I will either answer these questions or I will allow you to talk. And again, I apologize for the interruption. We did lose a few people, but most of you came back. Okay, if there is no, oh, it happens. Thank you, John. So if there are no questions, what I will do is for the next one, I'll talk about since we were attacked. Then the next one, which should happen on the 10th, here, we'll first talk about how we were attacked by everyone on Zoom. And I will say that was a good one by design. And the rest we'll see. That will come later. Any suggestions are welcome. I can do one thing. I can allow one person to talk just to see how nervous I became. Here you are. Okay, John, and you now can say hello. But everybody else would have to ask for permission for now. So guys, thank you very much. Have a great week. And I see you again in 7 days. Be well. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye for now.